The breakthrough that you've been looking for is right around the corner. And in this video, I'm gonna break this down for you, because the truth is that all the deep work that you've been doing, all of the techniques and strategies and exercises that you've been applying into your life, while they are serving you in some way, it's not actually allowing for you to have that breakthrough. That's why you're watching this right now, because you want to have the breakthrough that ends all breakthroughs, where you have this light bulb moment where it's just like, oh my gosh, I have everything that I want and I am who I want to be, totally unapologetically, totally congruent to what my highest calling is. That's what this video is about. And I'm gonna go over 4 key concepts and 4 key mindsets to embody that will allow for you to actually have that breakthrough. Because if you're anything like how I used to be, I used to bang my head against the wall trying to figure out this whole manifestation thing. And even all the way to the point where like I would get crystals and I would sit down and I would meditate and I would channel these higher dimensions of downloads of information. And all that stuff is cool, right? If you do those things, fine. But also, you're probably one of those people who's like frustrated and who's stuck in this zone and stuck in this apathy, or maybe not even apathy, but you're just having trouble getting to that next level where you actually have everything that you want. And that's what genuine manifestation is you operate on a plane and on a vibrational frequency where you just simply get whatever you want. It's simple. It's so simple, it's stupid. Oftentimes you'll hear this, and oftentimes you'll even experience this, that once you actually have that breakthrough and you have that ultimate breakthrough that just sets off a light bulb in your life, it just becomes abundantly clear that this was what you had access to the entire time. And this video is going to feel very familiar in that sense when you understand these 4 key concepts about stepping into your highest power and stepping into complete confidence and complete freedom to do whatever you want on your own terms. Now, what I want you to understand before I get into the 4 key concepts is that life is an ever-evolving process. You are constantly transforming, ever-evolving. I don't care how successful you are. And in fact, some of my most successful clients are the ones who are transforming the most all the time. And your ability to adapt and embrace your transformations is going to dictate how efficiently you step into that next realm and step into that next frequency, into that next level of power in your life. And in order to embrace this, you have to really embrace the fact that uncertainty is a gift. It's the best gift that the universe can ever offer you. Now, what happens with the majority of people, 98% of people are so afraid of uncertainty, and so they miss out on all the gold and all the value that is derived from moments of uncertainty. It's a vortex for power and a vortex for truth. And so the more you embrace uncertainty and the more you embrace your ever-evolving nature, then you don't even have to like do this mental activity of micromanaging your thoughts 24/7, because you're just so okay with however you're thinking, however you are feeling. And it doesn't rob you of your power whichever way you think in the first place, right? Like a lot of times you'll hear in like the personal development, the spiritual space, it's like you have to mitigate negative thoughts. You have to get rid of negative programming, get rid of negative thoughts. And that is true, because your thoughts are dictating your reality to a very large extent. But also, people get very fixated on this portion, and they almost turn into like an HR manager that's trying to manage every little thing that's going on inside of their brain. And it's extremely energetically and emotionally and mentally draining, right? That's why you have no energy. That's why you're burnt out, because you're constantly trying to micromanage what you're thinking at all times. Now, I'll tell you this right now, people like me and people that are at that next level, they don't care what they think, they still get results. You've heard me say this before, even when I don't feel confident, I am confident. And so I've taken away all of the emotional heaviness that comes with thinking negative thoughts in the first place, right? Because think of your thoughts and think of your mind, it's a garden. And every time is your mind, right? So your mind is a garden, right? A beautiful garden with roses and lilies and sunflowers, right? And the negative thoughts are like weeds. Now, how most people treat their mind is that they start pulling the weeds. They're pulling weeds, they're pulling weeds, they're pulling weeds. Now, if any of you guys have ever gardened or farmed, what happens as soon as you pull the weeds? Like a few days later, more weeds pop up. More weeds pop up. And so it's like you pull them and then you come back and check and it's like, what the hell? There's more, right? And so people are treating their minds as like this defense thing, and they're constantly on defense 100% of the time when you should be on offense, right? And so instead of pulling the weeds at the stem, you have to pluck them at the root. And plucking weeds at the root is damaging to the garden because you have to dig into the soil. You're probably gonna fuck up some of the flowers. But the thing is, you actually create a better foundation for more flowers to pop up because you actually pulled the weeds at the stem. Embracing this is ultimately the thing that allows you to step into that next level with complete power. So where it doesn't matter what you're thinking or matter what you're feeling, you are constantly in flow and in alignment with yourself. And the way this looks like in your life and the garden that you are cultivating within your own experience within this dimension, within this reality, is that probably pulling some of the weeds is going to look like you have to change your environment. You're going to have to pluck certain friendships. You're going to have to pluck certain things that you are giving your attention and your energy to, like politics or the news. If you're watching the news, holy shit, turn off the fucking news, because all the news does, like if you watch local news and shit like that, they're just bombarding you with negative information, and it's sowing doubt and it's sowing insecurity and uncertainty about the future. But the truth is, it's like, that's not the right uncertainty that you should be feeling. Uncertainty that is powerful is one in which you are questioning who you are. You're questioning what you're stepping into. And that's ultimately allowing you to uncover more of who you are, uncover more of your gifts, and uncover more of your power, so you can be more in alignment with your purpose. The uncertainty that the news is sowing in you is like an uncertainty about your future, which is absolutely detrimental to anybody that is looking to cultivate a high quality life. And so understanding the ever-evolving process and plucking weeds at the root rather than the stem is what creates a foundation for you to allow more synchronicity and more abundance and more of your manifestations to become actualized in your experience right now. And this goes hand in hand with the fourth thing in terms of like mitigating the negative thoughts. Pillar number one, foundational principle number one of actually having the breakthrough that you're looking for involves being able to pluck it all at the stem. Pluck the negative thoughts at the stem. Negative pendulums, if you guys read the book Reality Transurfing. I need a new spray bottle. I've only recorded one video and it's already almost out. We got thunder outside. Relax, it's good. Thunder's good. Rain is good. Rain is beautiful. And we're actively reprogramming your relationship with the world right now so you can embrace the rain. Now, we're talking about how to actually pluck at the stem or at the root rather than the stem. So first off, what you have to understand about embracing this breakthrough you have to interrupt the pattern, okay? Because your entire life and your view and your lens of the world is all based upon patterns. You observe patterns in your reality, and that's giving you evidence of what kind of world you live in. Now, in order to actually interrupt the pattern or actually have that breakthrough, you have to interrupt the pattern. And every single person, whether you like to think this or not, you are unconsciously noticing patterns in your life. This is where subconscious programming comes in. The way you view the world and the way you view yourself is based upon all of your life experiences, all of the evidence, and all of the knowledge and the wisdom that you have. By the way, this is why spiritual wisdom is the highest level of wisdom that anybody can cultivate, because it gives you insight into your energetic nature in being, your metaphysical presence of who you are. And whether you think this is real or not, it is happening. It is going on all around you. This is what the master teachers of time have been pointing us in the direction of. People like Jesus Christ and Hermes, the first alchemist, and all of the other master teachers and all of the biblical texts in some form are pointing you to the metaphysical experience of who you are. Now, on the mental plane, because your energetic, your spiritual plane and your mental plane are closely linked, when you have these moments in time where you're triggered or you have an uncertainty about your reality that is causing you dysfunction or misalignment at your soul presence, in your soul being, what you have to recognize is what pattern is showing up for me, and you interrupt the pattern. This is where like hypnosis is very powerful in a lot of ways. And not like the fun hypnosis that you see. Like some of my friends are some of the best hypnotists in the world, and a lot of what they're doing is for entertainment and whatnot, and it's interrupting your pattern enough to a point where they can implant a new idea into your head. But whether you know this or not, you are hypnotized. Every single person is hypnotized to some extent or another. And the most hypnotized people are the 98%. That 98% of people, the vast majority of people, are hypnotized to think negatively. And so you have to recognize this within yourself, because every single person, I don't care who you are, you're exposed to the darkness of the world and the negativity and the chaoticness. And the more you can actively acknowledge and observe this and how it's showing up in your reality, you give yourself an opportunity to stop it. And this comes with awareness. And this is why I'm such an advocate for even self-mastery, right? Because the more you can master yourself, the more you can be honest about the patterns that are showing up in your life. So you have to interrupt the pattern. And what this looks like is when you're experiencing some kind of misalignment or a lack of confidence or a lack of flow within yourself, and you find yourself in these like negative spirals of like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, or I'm not confident enough, or I'm like ugly or something, whatever the case might be, you can actively see yourself in these patterns and say, whoa, hold on. I see the pattern. Interrupt the pattern. You energetically and mentally say, whoa, hold on. What is this? Because this is bringing awareness to the aspects of yourself that are misaligned with the highest version of your power, the things that don't serve you in your life. And so any pattern that doesn't serve you, look at it, observe it, become consciously aware of it. Because it's in the moments that you observe these negative patterns, you can alter the pattern and step into the second foundational principle of embracing your highest truths and actually having this breakthrough. Because again, what do you think hypnosis is doing the entire time? It's interrupting patterns so you can implant better thoughts, better energies, better foundational mindsets of what is your greatest sense of power and freedom in your life. And so the more you can observe the patterns in your life, and I'll give you some specific examples. Like I had a client that came to me a few months ago. I started working with this client, and I have a lot of different types of clients. I have people that are millionaires looking to get to that next level, and I have people that are kind of just starting out to figure out the purpose. And so this client was trying to figure out what was going on in his life so he can actually have some stability. And one of the things that we uncovered very quickly was the fact that his entire paradigm of his reality was extremely self-defeating. So what I did, right, and oftentimes if you can't interrupt the pattern, find someone who can help you. And I sat down with him, I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, you are so self-critical. You are beating yourself up like crazy. You are your own biggest enemy. Your mind is your own biggest enemy because you're looking to your world as this massive battle and this massive conflicting thing that is designed to take your energy. And if you think that's true about your reality, well, guess what? You're going to receive more of that evidence. And this is the unfortunate or fortunate part of the reality that we live in. Whatever you think, you are right. And so he was thinking that he has no power. Well, guess what? He was confirming that. And so what I brought to his present and conscious awareness by interrupting his pattern was like, whoa, look at what you're doing to yourself. And it was like, boom, the light bulb moment happened where he was like, oh my gosh, like I've been doing this to myself for years. And all of us to some degree, if you don't have what you want, and if you're not manifesting at the highest levels, you're doing this to some degree, right? You have 20, 30 years of programming. You have 20 to 30 or 40. If you're older in age, you have 60 and 70 years worth of programming. And so your entire reality is working against you. So you have to interrupt the pattern and recognize the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm not serving myself at the highest levels. I'm not coming from love. I'm not coming from complete and utter freedom of who I am to be unapologetic and to attract and create the life circumstances that I want, right? Because if you want to make money in business, if you want to attract high quality friendships, you have to think and feel as the version of yourself that has those things already. But if you're always self-defeating and you think that people don't like you, right? People don't like you. Or you're not worthy, Well, guess what? You're right. So do you want to be right, or do you want to live in an abundant reality? You have to decide for yourself. And ultimately, interrupting the pattern gives you the opportunity to embrace your ever-evolving nature and to intentionally transform into the best version of yourself. I have another client, one of my earliest clients, it was about 3 years ago or so, ran a 7-figure solar company. And I wasn't even coaching him on anything business or money related. I was coaching him on his mindset. And within the first couple of weeks of me coaching him, it's like he had massive breakthroughs. Like he started doing like 200K weeks in his business. And it was because of this right here, right? In his mind, it was like, oh, I need to keep working hard. I need to hire more people, more. I'm like, bro, you're like doing way too much. You're completely overestimating who you think you need to be in order to step into that next level. So he slowed down, and that allowed for him to actually execute from a higher level perspective. And that's always the best leverage in business in the first place, right? If you're a leader in business, if you're already making a lot of money, it's like more work doesn't make you more money. It becomes more about leveraging your time and attention in the most optimal ways where you can get the best return of investment on your time and on your attention. You guys picking up what I'm putting down here? All right, we're on to number 2. This is the most important thing. You can have the worst mindset in the world. You can be a piece of shit, degenerate kind of person. And if you do this, if you embody this, it'll take you very, very far. Give yourself permission to have whatever it is that you desire to have in this reality. And we live in a world where guilt and shame are the lowest energetic frequencies. And people are riddled with guilt and shame. And guilt is embarrassment or stress or disconnection that happens when you like look at your past, or I feel guilty about this, that, or the other. And shame is a painful sensation of humiliation and distress. And guilt and shame are thrown around so casually in this reality, and it is the most disconnecting thing. Like anybody that's operating out of guilt and shame, and a lot of you watching this video probably have this, and I've dealt with this myself, and of all the deepest emotional healing experiences and deepest emotional healing moments of my life have been dealing with guilt and shame. Because the majority of you out there, you have guilt and shame about who you are, mistakes you've made in the past. And this is externalizing and pushing away all of your manifestations in the first place. If you have any guilt and shame, I'm telling you, reconcile those emotions. This is why, by the way, this is why I'm such an advocate for emotional healing. Because this unlocks on the spiritual plane, this unlocks for you to give yourself the permission to have, right? Because how many, especially for the guys out there, how many of you guys have problems in your dating life, for example, and you want the girl, but then that girl is giving her energy and attention to like the drug dealer, degenerate guy who doesn't really give a shit about her and is a complete lowlife and a waste of time, but yet she still keeps giving her attention to that guy. Well, that guy, whether he's a piece of shit or not, is giving himself permission to have. He has zero guilt and shame. He's just being unapologetically himself, because that's what's attractive in this world. That is what is attractive to not only your manifestations, but even in your dating life. And women do the same thing as well. Women do the exact same thing. They see these girls that, I hear this from women all the time, that it's like, guys just want like this bimbo that is stupid and whatever. But the thing is, those girls are doing the exact same thing. Maybe they don't have a ton of emotional or heart-centered connection, but they're just giving themselves permission to have. And so all these good guys are just kind of throwing themselves at them. Right? And the same thing happens in business. How many people are way less talented than you and way dumber than you, and yet they're getting results at the top level? Well, it's because they're giving themselves permission to have. And you're here extremely smart. I often tell this to people, if you were 30 IQ points dumber, you'd probably have what you want by now. You know, it's like the whole thing of like, ignorance is bliss. Now, I'm not telling you to be lesser than yourself or to pretend to be dumb or descend into ignorance is bliss, because that's actually a defense and a coping mechanism. You can embody that same level of self-permission to have what you want and be completely unapologetic about who you are from a higher level frequency, which is way more powerful, right? Because there's probably people that are jealous and envious of your talent, and yet it's not manifesting in your life at all. And so you feel stuck. You feel like you're in your own way. And every little modality, every technique, every strategy is a permission slip. It's a permission slip. Every little manifestation technique, every numerological strategy, every astrology sign, even getting mentors and even associating with high-level people, where just being around high-level people, you start to embody the same type of frequency as them. It's all a permission slip. It's giving you a hall pass to go into the world and be exactly who you need to be, which is the most attractive thing in business, which is the most attractive thing in relationships. And so many times people just focus on the technique and the strategy. The strategy doesn't work. The strategy doesn't matter. Strategies and techniques don't matter. Energy does. It's your energy. And giving yourself permission to have is the thing that unlocks for you to operate from a level of genius and from a level of heart-centered connection that automatically produces results. This is why I say so often that success and money and status and relationships and freedom and fun experiences, all those things are the accompanying attribute of someone who gives themselves permission. But the thing is, you're stuck in guilt and shame. You feel that the world is difficult and you've made mistakes in the past, so you're not worthy of results at that next level. Or you feel that because you've made these types of mistakes, or you said this thing wrong, or that you're doing, even if you're doing the technique wrong, oh, I didn't do the manifestation ritual correctly, so that's why I didn't manifest what I wanted in the first place. Or I was thinking way too much and I was trying to force it in my reality. Guilt and shame, guilt and shame, guilt and shame. I'm telling you right now, the thing that actually kills people's lives, the thing that literally sabotages all of your potential, all of your success, all of your effortless manifestations, is any guilt and shame. And when you let go of guilt and shame and you give yourself permission to have, you enter into a flow state of allowance, and ultimately you receive all the things that you're looking for. Receive. You give yourself permission to receive what it is that you want. So that next level of income, that dream job, that dream partner. You give yourself permission to be exactly who you want to be, and you let go of any guilt and shame. All those weird, quirky things that you like, all those things that are really nerdy and probably isn't cool to most people, if you just totally lead into those things and were completely unapologetic about who you are, and then you also gave yourself permission to receive at the highest levels, well, they would find you. You become attractive to the things that you want, and then the things that you want you. Do you understand this? Right? And so many people have this opposite. They think they need to earn their place. They think they need to be 1,000 steps ahead of where they're at right now. But the truth is, you know people that aren't even on your caliber of energy and on your caliber of heart-centeredness and integrity, and yet they're getting the results that you want, right? Some of my most successful friends aren't all that smart, aren't all that compelling as people, and yet they literally make millions of dollars, and they attract crazy friendships and crazy experiences. And in the same way, you embody that next level of energy. So what I want you guys to do is completely let go of guilt and shame, and heal your wounds, and allow the greatest aspects of you to come alive. And permission slips, they come in all types of forms, right? That's, affirmations are a permission slip. Getting a mentor, permission slip. Writing down your goals and intentions, permission slip. Any kind of guided meditation, permission slip. You don't really need them. And if you need them, sure, okay, but just understand it's just a permission slip. When the truth is, you have permission right now. I want you to comment down below if you get that. Comment on this video if you understand this. And as a permission slip for your life, I want you to give yourself, by commenting on this video, that you give yourself permission to have, with the intention of allowing more of your abundance, more of your manifestations to enter into your world and enter into your reality. Now, the third thing I'm going to tell you about here, this is like, if permission is like a rocket, if step 2 is like the rocket ship, step 3 is the rocket fuel, the thing that propels the shuttle into outer space. Authority. When I say authority, what do you think? You think like cops and politicians, people that call the shots. And you think about people that are just compelling people, they just have authority, leaders, right? You're essentially becoming the leader of your life when you assume authority. And you're calling your own shots. Now, don't break the law, of course. Doesn't mean you can loot the convenience store or harm people. But when you become the authority of your own life, you have to understand even just the whole idea behind authority, right? Who gives cops power, right? If you think about like a cop who has the authority, if you're driving down the road, to pull you over and fine you for something, right? Like you don't have a seatbelt on or some shit. Why do they have power? Authority is based on a collective agreement that this is how it is. Because at the end of the day, a cop and a politician, they're just people. They're just people at the end of the day. Think about borders of countries, right? Like North America, it's just a landmass. And yet we have these very definitive borders. And if you cross into that other side of the border, it's a completely different life. There's a completely different set of rules and laws that you have to abide by. But who established those borders in the first place? Like if you go to the Canadian-American border, you can just walk across. I mean, it's outside of like interacting with cities and society, it's not all that different. There's just like this big forest line. There's like this big forest line. And who decided on those borders? Well, a group of people got together that have power and collectively agree that these are the borders between these different lands. But the thing is, it's just landmass. It's just more mountains and trees and oceans and whatnot. And the entire world is filled with all these different borders. And then you think that the person on the other side of that border is your enemy, but that's just because people with authority decided that they're different from us and they live in a different world. They live in a different society. Well, it's kind of the same thing in your life, right? You assume authority over who you are and the circumstances that you are creating, and you take back your power rather than allowing the world to dictate what kind of life that you live. And it's like the authority to create and author your own life, right? Your life is a story. So you're an author. Your life is a story. Now, previously, before you watched this video, the story was based upon past experiences, mental programming, what you thought was valuable to society, or what your parents told you to do, right? So like, and the list goes on. There's 100 other examples of teachers and societal programming, and you need to go get a nice stable job and be a doctor, and you need to go be a valuable member of society, and you need to abide by these certain metrics, and if you don't meet these metrics, then you're not a valuable person. Now, some of those metrics are good. Be a good person, right? Like, don't be an asshole, okay? But also, a lot of times, people will sabotage their highest calling in life because they're not the authority of their own story, right? They're letting these things determine their reality. And assuming authority, you take back the power and you can cancel all these things out. And then you become the person who decides the story of your life. And you can literally create anything it is that you want. You can literally go out and create that business of your dreams. You can go and associate with the people that are meant for you, right? And just like I was talking about in pillar number 2 about letting go of guilt and shame, it's like all of these things, when you walk away from these things, there's like a feeling of guilt and shame. Oh, I'm not going to be that good person, or I'm not going to live up to my parents' recommendations of what's the best life for me, or I'm not going to adhere to a typical societal implication of what is a good person. But the thing is, 90% of people are just sheep. They're just following whatever orders are given to them. They're just following whatever lands in their lap, and they're letting the matrix decide what their life is. And here's the truth. If you follow the herd, you will be average and mediocre. No one gets to exceptional levels in life. And I'm not talking about like money and status and stuff. Those are accompanying attributes. But no one ever lives an exceptional life by following the orders and giving away their authority to someone else. Now, again, like I said, don't break the law. Don't think that I can go drink 18 beers and then just jump in my car and go drive. No, you're going to fucking kill someone. But my whole point here is the fact that if you live your life under a set of rules that someone else created for you, you will live an average and mediocre life. You will do the same thing as everybody else. Now, if that's what you desire out of your existence and out of your reality, because it's too difficult to embrace the uncertainty of stepping into the unknown and embracing your truth and your power, well, then you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But I know this resonates for you because the moment you assume authority over your own life is when you actually step into the realms of your maximum power, your maximum genius, and your maximum confidence to live a life that is truly meant for you. And an exceptional life is one where you are calling your own shots. You are determining the rules and the metrics and the parameters of which you operate within this system. This is why a lot of the most successful people talk about breaking the rules, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was someone I used to look up to. I don't look up to him anymore because he's like super liberal now. But his whole journey of how like he just crushed everything that he did. What did he say? Like I've read his book Total Recall, which is like his autobiography, and there's a bunch of interviews of him as well. And he talks about, look, don't break the law, but break the rules. Break the societal rules of what average people are adhering to, so that way you can fulfill your full potential. Because if you follow everyone else's footsteps, and if you follow everyone else's life path of the track that is supposed to be valuable, well, guess what? You're going to be a fraction of who you are. Because not only is there way too much competition in the herd, but also it's boxing you into a category that isn't even your own. Every single person is special to some degree. Every single person has a special gift that they can share with this world. But the majority of people, 98% of people, will never actually manifest their gift because they have given away their authority in their life to everyone around them, into the mindsets and societal programming and the pendulums. If you go read Reality Transurfing, they're giving away their energy and attention to pendulums that don't actually serve them and want them to win at the highest levels. Okay? Hope you understand this, because this is the thing. When you combine it with giving yourself permission to have, you become this vortex for all the most beautiful and powerful things to come and be a part of your existence. Because like I said, and I've always said, is that success and status and money and relationships and cool experiences are the accompanying attribute of someone who interrupts the pattern of negativity, interrupts the pattern of societal programming, is giving themselves permission to have what they want, and is a complete authority over their life and over their sovereignty, right? In the spiritual community, you hear a lot about sovereignty. Sovereignty. I hope that's spelled correctly. And it's a very spiritual experience to have sovereignty, because we live in a free country, but most people have zero sovereignty on the spiritual level. And so when you get rid of guilt and shame, you have sovereignty, because your emotions and your programming aren't controlling you anymore. You're a sovereign soul who can go and create whatever it is that they want out of their life. And even there's like, in physical reality, there's like sovereign beings. You can actually like revoke your US citizenship and then be like, have you ever seen those videos of people that are like getting pulled over by cops and they're like, no, I'm a sovereign being, I'm my own nation or something. And the cops can't do anything about it. They can't give them a ticket. They can't write them a citation for anything. And it's basically like, it kind of makes operating within society pretty difficult because like cops will pull you over 24/7 and it's just really weird. But it's the same thing. You don't have to do that, but it's the same thing from a spiritual level, right? So in this way, it's like whatever you want, be completely unapologetic about that. If you want to go be a professional video gamer, go do that. If you want to go be an entrepreneur, go do that. If you want to leave your job and go start something beautiful and magnificent, go do that. If you want to associate with weird, quirky friends that are not in the traditional societal picture of people that are like good, right? Because a lot of times people in society, people that are a part of the herd are actually extremely dark and extremely malicious. They can't even think for themselves. And so they perpetuate pain without even knowing it. But that's a separate conversation for another day. But this is giving you back your sovereignty in a spiritual sense of your freedom, which energetically raises your frequency. And people that are in a high energetic frequency are the ones that attract the good things in life. They attract beautiful circumstances and synchronistic circumstances that provide the foundation for more, for you to experience the things that you actually want in your life. Because every single person wants more. They want more abundance. They want more freedom, more abundance and freedom and love and connection and all these different things, right? So you have to walk away from a lot of this programming and assume your own authority. You guys got that? Even in the Bible. In the Bible, it talks about this, right? With Jesus. They were like, who is this man that speaks with such authority? And Jesus is like, it's not me, it's God. And all over the Gospels, Jesus talks about, you have that authority as well. I think one of the parts of the Gospels that gets overlooked so often is like, that I've been to church enough. I'm not Christian, but I'm not a Christian in the traditional sense. I believe in the power that Jesus Christ had because he was an alchemist. That's why Christ consciousness is a real thing. But in Matthew, I forget what chapter and what verse, but in Matthew, when Peter walks on water also, people don't talk about that. Peter also walked on water. And he started to sink. And Jesus told him, you have such little faith, why did you doubt? Jesus has so much authority that he was trying to tell Peter, you have authority over your own life as well. And you had such little faith, that's why you sank. All of us can walk on water in the spiritual metaphysical sense. Now, once you embody this, I want you to loosen that gorilla grip. Gorilla grip. I want you to loosen the grip on what you expect out of your reality. A lot of times when I see people, when I talk to people and when I coach clients, they understand 1 through 3, right? So I'm going to interrupt the pattern, give myself permission to have and give myself permission to receive, and assume authority over my own life. And then this is the part where they really, really get tripped up, right? Because they try to hold on so tight to their manifestations and to how they think it's supposed to show up. And they develop all these expectations of where it's supposed to come from and these really rigid time frames. And they basically knock themselves out of divine timing, right? And so they look at their physical reality right now and they see the absence of the money, they see the absence of the success and the freedom and the accomplishments and all those things and the love and relationships. And so that's where they lose faith, the same way Peter did, right? They lose faith in the same way that he did. And they lose authority and they start to lose permission and they go back to their negative mental programming. Now, the thing is, as you embrace your highest calling and as you embrace your full potential and your power, you have to loosen the grip on your expectations and you have to detach from the outcomes. And this is why it's like, I don't know about you guys, I don't even set goals anymore, right? Because I noticed that every time I set goals, I would really hold tight on my actions, and I needed to be in this very specific schedule. I needed to be extremely logical and extremely rigid about everything. And the thing is, even in the masculine polarity, if there's way too much logic, it descends into tyranny, right? It's like you're suppressing yourself and you're suppressing the natural divine timing of your existence. And this is where synchronicity and coincidental encounters actually become a manifest miracle in your life. Everything is a fucking miracle, right? I saw a pastor on YouTube talk about when miracles are emphasized, Jesus is dead. I think that's completely backwards, because Jesus was performing miracles all the time. And even if you think about your life right now, everything is a fucking miracle. The fact that you're watching this video on YouTube is it's a literal technological miracle. I can record this video on a $5,000 camera and then have someone edit this video, put it out on YouTube, and people from all over the world are going to watch this. That's insane. And even if you think about the houses that we live in, the structures that we live in, modern engineering, plumbing, sidewalks, cell phones, like all these things are crazy, crazy miracles. So I live in this like childlike state of curiosity because I've loosened the grip. And I've also loosened the grip on my goals and my expectations of how I think my manifestations are supposed to show up. And so often that people they hold on super rigidly, and they think that holding on and holding this tight grip is actually going to bring their manifestations closer to them, but it actually pushes them away. Because if you think about, this is you. You got a nice little smile and you're walking this path, right? You're walking your path, you're doing your work, you're educating yourself, you're taking action on your goals and on your dreams. And every path that you're walking has many different outlets, has many different possibilities, right? The infinite possibilities. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you have to embrace uncertainty. This is where uncertainty comes up, right? It's like, okay, shit, I have all these different paths. Now, if you hold on energetically and spiritually, you're only looking at one potential life path, right? Oh, it has to show up in this way. Like people do this in business all the time, right? Like I mentioned a client that was doing, he ran like a solar company. He wanted to get to 8 figures. He was already doing 7. And he was like, oh, more reps, more people, all that shit, right? Rather than focusing on what are the highest leverage things. So he was focused on, it has to show up in this exact way, not knowing that there's all these other paths and all these other potentialities. It looks like a jellyfish, but not knowing that there's all these other paths that you can take. And the thing about this is that many of these other paths have less resistance. It has less friction. It has more synchronicity. And this is oftentimes why, like, even people that, especially in like westernized countries like the US, we go through 22 years of schooling if you go through university. And if you're a doctor, even more school, right? You go to school for 30 years, but you go through 22 years of programming that in order to get the best results, it has to be it's a very specific and highly specific piece of logic or highly specific path that you have to walk down. And the thing is, that isn't reflective of the real world. Because if you think about like when you go through school and you take tests, and the tests are grading you on the information you know based upon what you've studied, there's one correct answer and the rest are incorrect, right? If you think about like a multiple choice exam, most exams are multiple choice unless there's like you do problems and you have to provide solutions to equations or whatever, but it's very mathematical. It's like, okay, one answer is correct, one answer is right, the rest are wrong, right? And this is called convergent thinking. Convergent thinking, right? One answer is correct, super logical. Now, convergent thinking has its place in the world and has its place in society, right? If you go to a hospital, you don't want your doctor to be trying out all these paths. It's like, oh, well, he's got like brain damage. Maybe we chop off his leg. No. Like, you don't want your doctor or your engineer that's doing the plumbing and the electrical on your house, or the automobile engineer to like use their heart and use manifestation to build the thing, right? So like obviously for societal baseline structure, you want it to be done on convergent thinking, right? But again, like I said before, this isn't reflective of life and of business and of relationships, right? all of these things, and just like I was talking about my client, it's divergent thinking. Which means all answers are correct. It's just some are more correct than others. Okay, so your life path and the quality of your life is going to be exactly the same. It's divergent thinking. The thing is, people are programmed into a box, they're programmed into this category, and so they never actually fulfill their full potential. So if you want like kind of mediocre results and you kind of want to get by and just live on the same terms, live on the same terms as everybody else, well, it's like, all right, just do some more convergent logical thinking. But you're here because you want that next level. You want that massive breakthrough that actually allows for more abundance and synchronicity to enter into your experience, where you can be a sovereign soul, a sovereign being, and call your own shots and live with complete freedom and complete confidence. Divergent thinking. There's many different life paths, and the more you try to hold on to what you think is supposed to happen to you or how quickly it's supposed to happen to you, you're literally like out of alignment with divergent thinking. There's a whole movie on this. Like it's like similar to the Hunger Games, right? And the whole movie is like a dystopian future where everybody's a convergent logical thinker, and they have to take pills, and they do all these measurements, or they do all of these things to people, negative things, to completely withdraw and subdue their minds, their infiniteness of being, their soul, so that way they walk in path. They walk this path, and they're easily controllable. This is how society is at large. Society is designed for you to control you. And if you don't think that this is real, if you think that that movie is just some kind of fanatical fantasy, obviously you didn't observe what happened 4 years ago when they deployed a certain injection that all of you guys took because you were told, oh, it's the right thing to do, it's going to save lives, and it turned out it was all bullshit. So this is actually happening in mass consciousness within society. People are they're just doing the thing, they're just following the steps, they're like sheep. This is awakening yourself to who you are at your core, and you can call your own shots in your own life, and walk away from all the programming and walk away from everything else that everyone else is doing, because most people live in mediocrity, they live in scarcity, they live in uncertainty, and that is controlling their reality. But you embrace uncertainty, and so you find the path. I'll use a red marker. You find the path that is actually meant for you, and that path is all the freedom and all the confidence, and that path allows for the greatest manifestations and synchronicities to enter into your experience, where you make more money, where you attract higher quality relationships, where you're in the best shape of your life, and your energy and your vibrance is so magnetic and so attractive that you literally create heaven in your experience. Not heaven and it's like, oh, in the afterworld or whatever. No, heaven now, where everything goes your way and you feel abundant and it's full of love and full of radiance, right? But you have to loosen the grip. You have to allow divine timing to enter into your life, right? And that is a miracle, to be able to do that for yourself, because you walk away from societal programming. And by the way, in that movie, in Divergent, anybody who's a divergent thinker, they try to kill him. They first try to suppress him. If they can't suppress him, they kill him, right? It's funny how people think that that's a movie and it's fiction. This literally happens in society. People that are divergent thinkers, or people that call their own shots and have authority in their lives, we call them crazy, we call them psychotic. And definitely, like, there's a lot of spiritual psychosis out there, right? People that are like, I'm channeling this interdimensional being from this reality or whatever. And some of them are actually real. Some of them are true, right? But the vast majority of them are just in some kind of like spiritual psychosis. We're not talking about that. We're talking about living a high quality life here. I like to ground all of this spirituality and all of this spiritual nonsense that is out there and make it extremely pragmatic, because the truth is, it's very simple. It's very simplistic and understanding, and you let go of how you think it's supposed to show up. You let go of all of your expectations, and you become detached from the outcome. You become more in flow with yourself, and then divine timing kicks in, right? So, whatever you're going through in your life right now, whatever breakthrough you think you need to have, whatever misfortune you may find yourself in, the path is right nearby. That's the thing about uncertainty. Whenever there's moments of uncertainty, that moment in time where it's like everything's going to shit, you have no idea what's going on, you're extremely confused, your path is right nearby. Stay the course. Stay the course. I'm telling you, stay that path, stay that course, because I can't tell you how many times I have clients, I have friends, I have people that come to me and they're just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And I tell them, good, amazing, I love it. And they're expecting me to be like, you need to change this and the strategy doesn't matter. The technique doesn't matter. The ritual doesn't matter. It's your mindset, it's your energy. And the moments in time and the moments of your life where you have the most uncertainty, there's some gold in there. You're about to have the biggest breakthrough you've ever had in your life before. The breakthrough that ends all breakthroughs, the breakthrough that unlocks your highest potential, it's right there. So use these 4 principles, go break through to that next level. I'll see you guys in the next video.